After decades of evolving, video game has already become a part of our daily entertainment. Other than the often featured exciting stories, thrilling adventures, and the rush of adrenaline, what else does video game offers to us, the players? Compared to television and radio, video game is still a newer form of medium. Video game offers us an experience different from those older entertainment. What set radio apart from older mediums such as radio and television is video games' ability to let players to participate in the story. Game producers really want the players to be fully immersed in the gaming world. Game producers want us to forget the input devices we use, such as mouse and keyboard. Evidence being video game companies' non-stop pursuit of realistic graphics and the rapid development of virtual reality.
It's unloaded now!
Story-driven single-player video games. Players are often granted the freedom to choose their own way of experiencing the story. This provides players an imaginary sense of control and involvement, therefore becoming more attached to the story. However, this sense of involvement does not only apply to single-player video games. Same could be said to multiplayer games. Players are the hero pursuing legendary quests to save the world. They are no mere spectators. They are the protagonist, the hero, the legend, experiencing the same emotion that designed for them. Family, friends, and enemies, salvation, redemption, and desperation. Those strong emotions are amplified by the immersive environment that video game created. Even after the playthrough, some of those emotions are internalized by the players themselves. Few scholars decided to study the behavior of World of Warcraft players. The study suggests that because players are often so attached to the gaming world, the emotion that they felt during the playthrough got carried over into the real world. After those players got defeated by a dragon-like boss, some of the players grew the fear of dragons in the real world. Even though such mechanism can be used to tell a great story, it can also function as a powerful tool to smuggle ideological messages. Bertolt Brecht once said, "There is no theatrical performance and no play which does not in some way affect the disposition and conception of the audience. Art is never without consequences." Same applies to video games. 2019's Modern Warfare is a perfect example to show you guys what I'm talking about. Modern Warfare's multiplayer mode is really fun, especially when playing with friends. But however, we're not here to talk about how fun the multiplayer is. We are talking about the single player mode of this story. I was really excited for the single player story, but however, after I played the story, it left a bad taste in my mouth. The story itself is quite typical. It traces a CIA officer teaming up with SAS forces to save the local rebels from a Russian invasion. Well, you know the story. In the end, CIA and SAS kill the bad guy and save the day. Apart from being a white savior story, players will also witnessing Russian soldiers conducting genocide in Uzbekistan, a fictional country. Well, like I said in part 1, video game producers want you to be attached to the gaming world. When you see Russians shooting and killing civilians for 5 hours straight, how could you not generate any strong feelings towards those Russian people? The naming of Uzbekistan is brilliant too. It sounds really close to Uzbekistan, a real country rich near Russia in the real world. Well, without close research and you were just playing a game, you would think Uzbekistan is a real Middle East country. How insidious is that? Blaming other countries for stuff they haven't do yet. Imagine this, a 16-year-old kid who have barely learned anything about geopolitical issues around the world. And after school, he went back home and started to play Modern Warfare for 5 hours. What will he see? He will see a cruel and merciless Russian killing and murdering his family and friends in Middle East for 5 hours straight. And get this, it's a first-person perspective. After this, how could you ever see the Russians in a positive light ever again? This is probably the first stereotype you will ever have for the Russians. Well, if you hear Russians doing something in Syria in the future, I could hardly imagine you will support the Russians, no matter what they were doing. After all, they were killing innocent civilians in the Middle East.
We spent about 6 minutes reading into video games. The main takeaway of this video is stop being a passive consumer of images and pay more attention to what the game is really trying to tell us. Be an active player instead.